Welcome in. This is Hot Topic here on Morning Kick Around. We are in an exciting time in American soccer. Pro rails on the horizon, expansion in markets left, right, and center. But we are less than 1 year away from the World Cup, which makes some of us think back on the first time the Men's World Cup was on our shores, World Cup 1994. For those of you a little young to remember all that, and to talk about his project, going in deep on the memories and what takeaways there were from the World Cup 1994. We've got co-founder Short Corner Media, Greg Lalas, joins the program. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Doing well, Greg. Appreciate you making some time for us. I am thrilled to talk about this. When I was on LinkedIn, which is not a place people really should spend a lot of time, but when I was on LinkedIn, I saw that you had posted this program, this project, I guess you would call it, with Club 11, where you're collecting memories of 1994, media in particular, like visual stuff. That's incredible. It's a great idea. Tell me where this comes from and what you guys want to achieve.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks for having me on. And also, Jason, I want to give you a shout out for your respect of the history of the Minnesota team, right? And how that goes way back to the Thunder. You may remember the Thunder.
Yes.
There was even, I think, a team called the Blackhawks way back when. So they've been around doing lots of things. Some great players out of there too. So we're in a historical mindset as we go. So look, 1994 obviously was, as we like to say, quote unquote, the year that changed American soccer forever. And I think a lot of people would say that's true. There were lots of other evolutions through the years, but certainly that was one of the big kickstarts to the modern era of soccer in America. And, you know, of a certain generation, I won't tell you my age, but those of us of a certain generation certainly have very vivid memories of that tournament. And there's also a generation behind us that have no memories other than what they've seen and what they've heard. And so we thought that it would be a really cool idea to try to capture some of these amazing stories. You did say visual, right? It's a visual storytelling world that we live in. So we want to find photos and video and some audio too, right? If we can find some cool audio stuff of all the things that were going on around the tournament, at the games. It could be a picture of a ticket, right? The only game you went to. It could be the story. A friend of mine sent me a story about how he funded the games he went to by buying other tickets and reselling them so that he could then pay for the tickets that he wanted to go to for the games he wanted to. You see all these various stories that people have that sort of talk about this tournament and how it was a game changer for them. So we want to capture that. We've partnered up with Club 11, who, if you don't know, check them out. They're amazing online. They're also incredible photographers, videographers. They've got a bus that they're driving around. It's like a soccer bus. So a really fun group of very talented content creators, if you will, to capture this content, and then eventually we'll tell all the stories.
We most recently had a touch tone moment with World Cup 94. I volunteer for Oakland County FC, and we were able to get the mascot from 1994, Striker, one of the guys that was in the original mascots back in the Silver Dome in the Midwest games. He busted that out for the 4th of July game last year.
Nice.
So Striker still lives out there.
It's incredible.
Well, I'd like to bring him up because one of the things we're doing is that everybody who actually submits something that says we've got photos or video, whatever it is, goes into a drawing for this amazing denim jacket with a huge picture of Striker on the back.
Oh, that's great.
So it's from 1994, vintage thing, so it's very, very cool.
Yeah, look, I've told this story before. I was a military brat, and we were moving around a lot in that era. I think I would have been just about to turn 15 years old. So I would have been 14 in 94. And I don't recall interacting with the World Cup. I mean, it's a little bit of a source of shame, but at the same time, like, I was a baseball kid and my dad was moving us all over the place, and I was probably in the midst of a move, and I just I don't recall. Maybe I saw something, maybe I connected with it. So I think this is kind of for me, this project, because I'm a history guy and I love the history of our game, as messy and as chaotic as it is, Greg. So I'm glad that there's potentially people, because I know people with stories, and I've seen some of the ephemera that people have collected and posted over the years. I did an interview a year and a half ago with Sebastian Salazar, where the whole conceit of my show was to have people bring a photo and we talk about what was going on in that photo. And he brought a picture of him and his mom at World Cup '94. That was the picture that he brought to share. And so that is so many people's origin story with this. I think it's incredible. I think it's a great idea. What do you have stuff already? Are you starting to see stuff come in? What
I've seen so far, we haven't dug in yet on what people have, but a lot of people are just like, I went to this game and I went to that game and I've got photos of that moment, right? People with, it's remarkable. I think there were, whatever it was, 90,000 people at the final. My guess is that we're going to get like 500,000 people that I was at the final and you know what I mean? So which is fine. Same with the Colombia game, against the U.S. national team against Colombia. So, a lot of it's just stories from friends who were like, I was at the final, or I was a college kid and I had no money and I somehow wrangled a ticket to, whatever it was, Saudi Arabia versus Belgium. And then and then that guy scored the goal. So I was at like one of the greatest games ever, right? So you're like, things like that. But what I would say, Jason, to your story in particular, first of all, I love this idea of an origin story, right? Because I think 94 is sort of an origin story in many ways. But I would also say you do have a story of 94. When it first entered your consciousness, and all of a sudden you're like, I need to know more about that. Robert gave us a 94 story. You gave us a story right from the start. You were like, hey, strikers showed up, right? Oakland County, big deal. What happened in Michigan around the World Cup, right? So, and if you want a story from the World Cup from 94, my mother was very involved in making sure grass would be able to grow in the Silver Dome for the World Cup. And she was like head of communications for the bid back in the early 90s. And they were like, do you think we could do this in the Silverdome? And she said, well, my husband has a friend who owns a lawnscaping company. Let's call him. And they did. And he was like, it turned out he had a PhD from Michigan State. And he said, well, let me call this guy at Michigan State who's like the foremost grass person. And they did, and he went to work, and they figured it all out, and what type of grass, and how long it'd be, and the temperatures, and all this kind of stuff. Next thing you know, they've got grass in the Silverdome for a World Cup game.
Funnily enough, I've spoken to that gentleman, Michigan State, and that professor.
Yeah, he's still involved, right? He's still there.
Yeah, they brought him out of pseudo-retirement to engineer the stuff for these tournaments and for World Cup next year. And I did notice that he stopped returning my messages after the kind of the bad press of the recent grass turfs, unfortunately. But it is funny that connection, the through line from 94 till now is still happening. And I'll do remember when my dad got us tickets to all the Silverdome games. We actually got to see the warm-up games that where they were testing the grass.
The year before.
Germany.
Germany played somebody, and Germany came off and said the grass was great.
Yes, I remember that being a big success, but we ended up moving to England the spring before the World Cup happened, so my dad had to give away the tickets, and I had to watch World Cup '94 from England.
Were you sitting with the British national or the English national team? Because
yeah, I didn't have a connection to the English team until Euro '96 was there, so actually it was bouncing between hosting nations there. But it's wild how the storylines, while it's like a generation separated, there's still echoes and plenty of evidence around.
Yeah,
I want to ask you, Greg, what is the grand plan with all of this? I mean, what is the end game?
So I think the end game is TBD, right? It's a work in progress in terms of this. But what the hope is that in the lead up to the World Cup, we will have all of these different types of media that we can then put together into various storytelling. Like one of the ones that I really like is the idea of, NPR, and they have StoryCorps, right? Where people just come in and they speak for about a minute or a minute and a half. I love the idea of 90 seconds because 90 seconds, 90 minutes, right? You do this whole thing where you tell a story in 90 seconds. And so I like this idea of maybe having voices over their pictures that they have if they don't have video, right? And they tell that story and then you kind of show it with the images that they have. And so we'll end up putting together a series of, USA 94 through the eyes of the fans that will go on to social media and various digital platforms sometime in the spring.
Before we let you go, I would like to ask, what would be like the holy grail of something that someone sent in? Like, what would be like the ultimate gift to be like, wow, this project is golden now?
some of this is the Holy Grail would be something actually around the U.S. national team, right? And one of those things, like I, did an interview or did a photo with Kobe Jones at an appearance a month before the World Cup, and I was the only person who showed up, right? Something like that, where people are like, they didn't know who this person was before, but then after the World Cup, they're going on Letterman and talking like that. Like this idea of the national team also sort of coming out to the world, the broad world, as opposed to, look, Italy 90 did a lot for the U.S. soccer fan base, but that was the hardcores who were watching those games. Once we got to 94, people knew who they were, right? They were, whether it was Alexi with the goatee, Kobe with his amazing hair, right? Ernie Stewart with his goal, Tony Miola with whatever that man bun was, right? So like all of that, I would love, that would be my holy grail, something around the national team and showing that sense of transformation, right? That was not an evolutionary leap, that was a revolutionary leap, I think, that happened in those weeks for the U.S. national team and for those American players.
You've mentioned Short Corner Media and 11. Kind of where could people send in their memories, and where could they check out the end product?
Yeah, they can go to shortcornermedia.com and they can find it there. I've got a blog where I put my World Cup story in there, actually, which was, being at an after party, like, VIP hospitality thing after the USA-Brazil game, and going into the bathroom and meeting James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, and Robin Williams all in the same place. I just wanted a couple minutes with Lexi, and it was the only place I could find him just to say, hey, great tournament. And all of us are just standing in the bathroom. And Robin Williams' kid was there. So it's like this was random group of people. Right? It's very funny. So go to shortcornermedia.com and you can get all the information there.
Greg Lalas, thank you so much for joining us here on Morning Kick Round, building the excitement for next year's World Cup through looking in the rearview mirror. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching this now and if you haven't hit subscribe, do so now. And the more subscribers we have, the more opportunities we'll be able to bring on wonderful people like Greg to talk about amazing projects and stories in American soccer. So hit subscribe, and you got your finger up.
I do. You're not going to steamroll me this time? All right.
One finger stops this train.
It does now. It did not earlier. No, I figured something out. No, I just wanted to say that, I'm excited about the project that Greg brought to us today. I mean, that's just one thing sort of in the build up to the World Cup next year. Obviously, 94 being this incredible origin moment for American soccer is something I want to lean into. But there's also, and I think Morning Kick Around is part of this, there is a movement, there is a push. We just saw the announcement of Kickback Media last week. If you're a very online person, you probably heard about that. It involves SoccerWise and some other things that they're doing. I think you're going to start to see some of that stuff pop up and more people make an effort to bring more to American soccer with the World Cup coming next year. And I'm very excited for that. I'm hoping we can be part of that. Like, I'm hoping we can ride a wave and be part of that story. And it's why we asked you to support us here on Morning Kick Around in all the ways that Robert's about to tell you.
Yeah, after you hit subscribe, you can kick it up a notch by becoming a member of the channel. You become an MK Ultra, and at $3.99 a month gets you early access to videos, bonus content, access to the Discord server, which I think is one of the most fun additions since this has been added to the channel. There's threads from ProRel. There's talk about local soccer, MLS, the national teams, and general topics, and the fun introductions where it's kind of people having their soccer origin stories or soccerholic type of introductions. Really enjoyed that on the Morning Kick Round Discord server that you can join by becoming an MK Ultra 8 channel member. You can follow along on social media at MKickaround on X, Instagram, Blue Sky. Write us a note at morningkickaround@gmail.com. And you can also find us as a podcast, Morning Kick Around, on your favorite audio platform. And I did miss one way to help us fundraise for specific projects. The one we have up there now is a $3,000 goal for a meetup on location, Morning Kick Around. Link up, so ko-fi.com/morningkickaround. Thank you everyone who's donated there and continues to do so. We have some messages to return on there. There is a messaging function in there that we need to attend to, but thank you for MK Ultras to do.
I gotta go to the post office and send some stuff. If you become an MK Ultra, you can join the Swap Meet channel and ask me for something I have in my studio. And I do have a working inventory list that is available on Google Docs. So you can see my list of stuff. If you want a picture, ask me for a picture. I'll do that too. It's very simple. But I will send you something that is in this room. All right. Unless it is a very personal item that maybe has some real meaning to me.
Yeah, give me your watch. Give me your watch.
No, that's got my fitness information, Rob. That's terrible. No, I will send you whatever soccer thing you want from this studio. And obviously you are only seeing a small sliver of what's in this little room with me right here. If you want something and you are an MK Ultra, I will send it to you. So join up.
I would definitely like the cheesiest headshot you got with a signature, so I can put it right here next to my desk.
I don't have any printed. What am I, an actor? I don't have printed headshots. What do you think this is?
You got to put some glitter in the envelope too. It'll be fun.